this rhetoric. And with that, I would like to yield 3 minutes to my colleague from Utah, Mr. Chaffetz.
The gentleman is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As members of Congress, our constitutional mandate is to be responsible stewards of the taxpayer dollars and assets. With the debt at $13 trillion and counting, this House and government have failed miserably in the task. During times of fiscal uncertainty, savvy businesses identify excess and underperforming assets and eliminate them. Our government must do the same. The American people agree. This week's winning U-Cut proposal would incentivize federal agencies to identify and eliminate underutilized federal buildings and structures. According to the OMB director, Peter Orszag, the federal government has 69,000 buildings and structures that meet this criteria. The total value of this excess property is nearly $19 billion. The one-time sale of these properties would generate substantial revenues to fill short-term budget gaps. The long-term savings would be have a more substantial impact. A leaner real estate portfolio would allow the federal bureaucracy to function more effectively and efficiently, and most importantly, the taxpayers will no longer be on the hook for underused, sometimes vacant federal properties. Current law prohibits the disposal of wasted federal property and cashing in on the savings. Most surplus property must first be offered, often at no cost, to other government agencies, to state and local governments, to nonprofit organizations, and others. Only at the end of this process is property offered at a competitive public sale. Federal taxpayers have missed opportunities to generate revenue and to reduce the deficit. For example, the federal government has conveyed at no cost a building in Los Angeles for a mob museum. A mob museum. The land in Massachusetts was conveyed for a public high school where tuition is over $29,000 a year. And a building in Florida that the federal government now leases back at a cost of over $100,000 a year. The proposal would direct OMB to sell these properties and transfer 80% of the proceeds to reduce the federal debt. This would result in approximately $15 billion in debt reduction. The remaining 20% of the proceeds would act as an incentive to agencies to quickly dispose of the excess properties. Even President Obama is starting to appreciate the need. On June 10th, he issued a presidential memorandum to department heads directing them to, quote, accelerate efforts to identify and eliminate excess properties. He went on to say both taxpayer dollars and energy resources are being wasted to maintain these excess assets. We seem to be in agreement with the President. We urge the Democrats to join us. Today, Congress can carry out the wishes of the American people, can support the President's efforts to trim the federal portfolio, and take significant steps in getting our fiscal house back in order. I urge my colleagues to support this proposal. It's just common sense. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back his time. Gentleman from Colorado.
I'd remind the Speaker and others that we're here on the small business lending